European plugs are awful.
Well, okay, you may have legally the right of way, but you'd be dead.
Yeah, but that's the same in the UK. Middle lane drivers.
No.
Cześć, welcome to today's episode. I am back with Kane, my English friend living in Poland, and we are today going to discuss 8 things you're not too much of a fan of about Poland. So the first subject is the bureaucracy.
Yeah, so in Poland things aren't as quite as smooth and efficient as you would hope. And the thing is, when I first came here to get all the legalization, I thought it would be pretty easy. Well, it turns out it was far from easy.
We were still in the EU then, weren't we? The UK?
Yep, still there. But it was very, very difficult. You had to go from one place to get one thing, another place to get another thing. And when, let's say you went to place A, you got to place A, and they would say, oh, you need document blah, blah, blah. So you go to place A, and they say, oh, actually, you need to go and get a document from place B. So you go to place B, and they say, well, actually, you need a document from place A. And you can see how
back and forth.
That would be. Back and forth, and you literally had to go to different places too. So it was a pain in the backside. Eventually, we did it, but very highly inefficient. Very, very difficult.
Okay, well, make sure you tell me as well, if you're from Poland or you've been to Poland, lived here, let me know as well, have you found it difficult to do paperwork and things like that as well? Let me know in the comments. But that's an interesting one, that is it like they seem to make life difficult?
I don't know.
Does it feel like it's on purpose?
I doubt it. I think it's the old system that's made like that. Things are improving. You know, it's more digitalised, you could say. But it is a bit of a pain in the butt, it really is. So I know, basic thing to sort out car insurance and that. Well, I couldn't do that because I had to go and sort out ID and this and blah, 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 blah. And here's a good thing, actually, just something I was reminding myself of. That is the PESEL. So in England, we call it your national insurance number.
Yeah.
You would have thought that once you get your, in my case, it was like a residence permit, you would have thought that they would have given you the PESEL, right? Wrong. You had to go and apply for the PESEL separately. And you think, why would you need the PESEL? Well, the PESEL, even not just for working, even just to go and insure your car, you need a PESEL number to go and insure a car. And I couldn't register the car because I wasn't properly registered, so I had to do all that stuff, and it was a pain in the bum.
Probably quite stressful.
Oh, you're not kidding.
Yeah. Okay.
But eventually, I did it. With the help of Patricia, of course.
So we had some success in the end. It just took a while to get there.
It is, and if you don't speak Polish fluently, or you don't have someone who is Polish, you're going to have a lot of hard trouble. Oh.
Yeah, let me know if you've had the same issues. Number 2 is electric and construction. What is wrong with the electrics and construction in Poland? Well, that's not a good start, is it?
Well, if you're a bit of a handyman, you like to fix things.
Yeah.
You're going to have a bit of frustration. So let's take the plug sockets, for example.
Oh, I've got to say, I'm sorry, I've got to start this.
Go on.
Right, it's not just a Poland thing for me, it's a Europe thing. European plugs are awful. Coming from the UK, where we do have the best plug sockets,
yes,
right? The best plugs.
Yeah.
They are brilliant, they're safe, and they're also sturdy and good. In Europe, so Poland as well, you have these 2 prongs, so when you put it in, the plug wobbles, and it's easy to pull out, and it's just like, just make it.
It ain't easy.
Well, yeah, but like you're worried that it's.
You're gonna pull the whole wall out.
Just move to the UK design of plugs. That's all I'm going to say on that one, okay? Because they are the best. Anyway.
Well, I would also say as well, it's not just like you were saying plugging things in. As you plug things in, as Charlie was saying earlier on, you see a bit of a blue light, like, you think, oh Jesus, is my appliance been going to blow up?
Yeah, you get a little spark.
Yeah. Talking of sparks, though, it's the wiring inside. Now, I can't remember which wire it is that you don't have, but you don't have 3
it's earth.
cables.
They don't have earth.
Is it earth?
Yeah.
Right. Which you need. You need all 3. In England, the way they design it is that the cabling is, well, you have all 3 of the wires, plus you actually have a fuse inside the plug socket itself, and inside the appliance most of the time, in the plug. In Poland, you don't. You just have, well, the fuse in the main circuit breaker, which is a bit of a pain in the butt. So that's one. And then also when you create the plug socket, when you install it, there are 2 little prongs, one on the left, one on the right. And how do you adjust that? Well, it's one little tiny little screw, this big, tiny little screw, usually a Phillips, and you turn it and you twist it, and a little piece of plastic just pops itself into the wall.
So how does this equate?
So it wobbles like this.
How does this equate to general construction?
Well,
And like
Generally-
building new houses. Bear in mind, even in the UK, new builds are rubbish.
It's just the
But-
general work, in my opinion, it's shoddy work practice. So, for example, the flooring wouldn't be so lined up. So, for example, the what do you call them? The skirting boards, things
Yeah.
like that, door frames, door handles, just little attention to detail, which I personally think is important, doesn't get addressed. And talking of other electrical things too, light switches. Pure jeweler. Again, same thing. The positioning into the wall, not secure. And when I was saying about the plug sockets, if you want to go and plug something in and unplug it, which you tend to, maybe a phone charger, you're going to pull the whole thing out. Not safe.
Doesn't feel secure, does it?
No.
Poland is growing, right? And it's modernising. Do you think the old houses are better or the newer houses? Because obviously in the UK, new builds, oh God, no. Because they're built quick, they're cheap, lightweight, and they're just not
Well, over
great.
here, again, same things. Usually developers do the same, same in England. But the older ones, like Patricia's grandma's, it's big, it's spacious.
Yeah.
That's one good thing. The construction of it, it's bits are old. If you can get an older building but renovated properly, I don't mean just shoddy workmanship.
Yeah.
By the way, when I say shoddy workmanship, I'm not talking about private builds where people build them. I'm not about that. I'm talking the electrics, because it's the way it is, unfortunately. But the other bits, no. I'm talking more like big flats and stuff like that, developments.
So once again, can you relate to this? Is this an issue that you face in your day-to-day life? Even if it is, I know we're talking about, for example, we focused on the simple things of plug sockets. However, it's something you use every day, right? That you kind of, you brush over, you're blind to it after a while, right? But when you get someone on the outside coming in, it's noticeable like that. So let me know in the comments, do you find this as an issue as much as we do? Or at least Kane does? Number 3 is public transport. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, again, as you probably can tell by my...
This is all negative things. There is a positive one coming.
There is,
Okay.
I promise. Public transport, okay. Or if you're American, public transportation. Anyway, so what's not so good? Now you might be thinking, wait a minute. It's got better over the years, right? Because the connections, more frequent vehicles, buses, trams, so on. Yes, that's a positive, but we're not talking positively right now. We're speaking negatively. So what's that? Well, I used to be a professional driver. I used to drive buses and coaches.
Not like a F1 racing driver.
No,
not to that
I
level.
wouldn't mind doing that, to be honest with you. But anyway, so from doing that, I learned quite a lot. And when you're driving professionally, you actually do a lot of advanced driving techniques and so on, which you then use in normal driving, right? Now, you would think then that the drivers over here with public transport, if they're professional drivers, they'd be really good, yeah? Well, not everybody is not so good. Now, you might be saying, yeah, but what about in England? They're bad too. Yeah, it can be. But what am I saying? Braking, cornering, goodness me, absolutely terrible. I feel like I'm a sack of spuds being thrown around rather than a human being and a person.
You should have seen.
enjoying
You should have seen the
traffic.
bus. The bus that took us from the airport to Katowice. It literally goes round the bend so sharply that it literally you can see the other buses
Jamming on the other side.
Yeah.
And you're doing this, hoping you're not going to go and hit
Yeah.
something. So yeah, braking, cornering on both buses and the tram. The trams, in my opinion, are probably worse. What else, though? So that's about the drivers. Well, I would also say about people's attitude when they're on the bus. I'm talking about the members of the public. So for example, you want to get off the bus or you want to get on the bus. People don't allow you to get on or get off.
If you're getting off, you let people off first, don't you?
Right.
And then you wait, and then you get on. You get out their way.
And if you're getting off, you hope for people to wait for you to get off the bloody thing.
Yeah.
Right? But no. Other thing also I've noticed too, it's not just Poland, what I've noticed quite a bit over here is, say, elderly people, disabled people, pregnant women. They, of course, want to sit down, right?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the younger generation, oh, goodness me, it sounds really old, me saying that. When I say the younger generation, I'm talking about teenagers, people in their early 20s. They see someone and they ignore them. They go, oh, yeah, glance over, they're on the phone, and they don't bother giving it up. And I find that really rude.
Yeah,
really,
you
really
should
rude.
always give up your seat for those sort of people. Yeah.
Exactly.
Can I give one as well then?
Go ahead.
So, on the train, the intercity train to Apollo, Oh my God. Now, we're here in December and it is freezing cold outside. This train was the hotter than the sun, right? It was so hot. There's no aircon or anything, right? So everyone's taking all their layers off. The problem is, though, you're in this really hot train for, what, an hour and 20 minutes. And then you get off and it's freezing cold. It's like two extremes. I don't know what it'll be like in the summer. Is it cool in the summer and hot outside?
Yeah,
or?
they tend to have aircon, so it's really, really cold, and then you're like, and you feel quite dry, and you're like, oh my goodness, it's warm.
Just get it even amount.
Yeah.
Right, just even it out slightly.
Exactly.
So public transport, like I said again, let me know what you think of Polish public transport. There is positives. Like there's public transport in general is pretty decent, cheap, yeah. But we'll get onto that, I'm sure, in the next episode. Number 4 are the road designs. Go on then.
Oh, goodness me. Again, goodness me.
Us English we do like to have a bit of a rant and a moan, just so this is easy for us.
Yeah. Right. In England, when you have a green arrow, now correct me if I'm wrong, Rob, I haven't been there for a while, but I remember when I was in England, there's a green arrow, it was just for the traffic, it was just for the vehicles. And when I first came to Wrocław, and I was driving along, went through green arrow, as I drove through, pedestrians started crossing the road. And I was confused. So I honked at them. I'm like, what are you doing? And a guy starts pointing at the green man. I went, I went, what is going on here? What? And I thought, did I go for a red light? No, I didn't. I went through green arrow. Over here, it's not just in Polish Europe, but goodness me, who the hell thought it was a good idea to have a green arrow for vehicles when pedestrians are walking? It's not just for the right, it's also for the left as well.
It's always on the bend as well.
Oh yeah.
So if you're a car and you're going to try and turn right, you have about that much road to realise there are people crossing.
And you can't see because of these things here, these A-pillars. An A-pillar can easily block a vehicle, never mind a person.
It's really hard to see them.
And this also relates to the crossings too, the way they're positioned, because just like when you turn right, usually when you turn right is the worst one, you come just like Rob said, your vehicle has to go straight in order to see somebody. So they decide to paint the crossing right on the bend, which makes no absolute sense whatsoever. And I had one guy once, I turned right, indicator, slowed down, checked, dark, couldn't see him, complete black clothing, winter, it was literally about a month ago. And I turned round and then I slammed on my brakes and I honked at him. I was like, what are you doing? He went, I have right of way. I said, in Poland we have right of way. You know what I said? Well, okay, you may have legally the right of way, but you'll be dead and you won't be able to express it. So, if you might have legal right of way, fair enough, but don't just go and say, well, I have the right of way, therefore I'm going to go and do it, because you might be dead and not be able to say the story. So the way I look at it is this. I know it sounds really, really mean, what I'm about to say, but in England, I know things are changing, but I remember when I was a child, and even when I was learning to drive, they said, respect every vehicle. So if something's bigger than you, give it priority. In other words, be a pedestrian. Give a cyclist priority. Give a car priority. Because that thing can't stop quickly than you can. It can stop less quicker than you can. And believe it or not, these things are quite heavy, and I personally, I don't want to be hit by one of those things. So please, stop. And I think there's another point I was saying relating to this. Stop, look, think, and if it's safe, cross. And when you cross it, look behind you. Don't just go for it. Please, like I've seen this so many times in Poland. People just go, walk straight across. I'm like,
another thing I've noticed is the slip roads going onto the motorways. What do you call them, highways over here?
Oh, they say autostrada. Well, they have like a...
Patricia, motorway or highway? Motorway. Okay, it's good. We're on the same lines then. That's fine. Slip roads. They're not very long, are they?
No.
It's and if you've got cars going at high speed, trying to get onto a slip, from a slip road onto the motorway. Yeah.
Very little space. So you come round, and the thing is, getting onto the motorway, it's like going on the Nürburgring, getting on and off, really hard bend, like, right, you're pulling yourself over to the left-hand side usually, and it's about a 40, and you get the motorway's 140. So, and sometimes if there's a bit of traffic, how are you able to go from, say, 20, 30 kilometres an hour to 40 kilometres an hour in the space of 100 metres?
The rule is you should be joining the motorway at the speed of the motorway.
Right.
But if you can't get up to that speed...
Especially if you're in an old car.
Especially, you see some around Poland, by the way. You do see, not just Poland, but, you know, other parts of Europe, you'll see these older cars, slower cars, you know, so you need the distance. You need the distance to get up. Well, yeah. Do you have any qualms, any issues with...
Were there any other points with the roads? I think I did.
Well, speed ramps. What's your problem with them? Speed humps?
Well, the thing is, there are different kinds of speed ramps. Some are made from tarmac, some are made from hard plastic. The ones with hard plastic, they destroy your car. They really do.
I think that's because you're meant to slow down.
No, I mean, literally, you go even 2 kilometres over it, you're going to have some problems or trouble with your suspension. And the ones that gets me, they say, 30 kilometres an hour, slow down. It is made of tarmac, but it's really hard. It's not smooth if you go over it. You don't want to destroy your car. And also, one that's popped into my mind, been a couple of times, maybe twice, maybe 3 times since I've been in Poland, as I've slowed all the way down for the speed hump, or the speed ramp, people decide to overtake me on a speed ramp that's just before a crossing. Where's the logic in that?
Well, that is the problem. The last one you had was lack of 3 lanes on most motorways.
Now, it's going to be better. They are introducing more lanes.
Is that not just a dual carriageway then?
No. Over here, motorways are 2 lanes most of the time.
Okay.
And I find that annoying because if you are going, let's say you want to be in the second lane, so the furthest lane, okay? You want to go a bit quicker because this guy next to you is going a bit slow. Maybe he's doing 120 or something, 125. So you're like, okay, I want to do 135, right, or 140. You go in there and you're like, okay, nice space, go over to the left, off I go. And you can see no one behind you. And all of a sudden, this will go into a little bit later, someone's all of a sudden there. And you're like, well, I need to move over here. But the problem is, if there are lots of different people at different speeds, you're going to have quite a lot of trouble. And you need the extra lanes to be able to be nice and efficient with the roads, especially if it's a slower vehicle like a lorry.
What about if there's a lorry overtaking a lorry?
Now, they have released a new piece of legislation saying that lorries aren't allowed to be on the motorway. I think it came this year. But even then, still, if it's a dual carriageway,
At the weekend.
Oh, the weekend is, I don't know, I can't remember now. But yeah, it's a pain in the butt. Like, come on guys, 3 lanes. And by the way, I'm sneaking into another point here. Learn how to use the 3 lanes. Learn how to...
Yeah, but that's the same in the UK. Middle lane drivers.
No. But that's a bit later on.
Well, if you're enjoying our little rant about negative things in Poland, make sure you go down there. Whilst you're commenting, if you experience this, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe too. Check out Charlie and Rob as well on our YouTube vlog, and you'll see all this trip in Opole, Katowice. Check that out as well.
Get run over, it's your fault.
Yeah.
Poland? Yeah. It's my road. Moja droga, I'm going.
Is that not like a criminal offence?